what's up? So the one of the most common questions that we get all the time as, PPC specialists, PPC experts, ads experts, is that, how often should we go in and make changes to the account, whether you're doing DIY, whether you have a freelancer, whether you got your VA doing it, or whether you had an agency doing it, like how often should they be making changes? That question, the answer depends on several things, right? And I wrote it down here. Comes down to, there's 8 things. I'll go through each one at a time. So it comes down to the platform that you're using, okay? So if it's just Google versus just Meta versus Google and Meta and Bing or whatever, right? If it's just Google and your local business, for example, the lowest type, like if you were a veterinarian clinic locally, right? You change it once a week. You make changes, you get aggressive, you're going there for about an hour and a half each week to check, to see the low-hanging fruits, do your negs, etc., then you're out of there, yeah? If you are doing Facebook, Instagram ads every day, you're in there every single day. That's it. You're in there every single day. If you are service, so number 2 is if you are a service, you're in there a lot less than if you are doing e-commerce, okay? Half of the accounts that we manage is e-commerce, and you're in there making changes every day because different products gets different level of attention. I call it like sunshine, like daylight. They get different exposure on different days. So you have to keep a monitor on what products should be getting the exposure, what shouldn't. So if you're a service business, there's just not that much to do after the account's fully cleaned up. And anyone tell you that. E-commerce all the time. And the third one is ad budget. So if you're spending, say, $2,000 a month on ads, like you can go in there every day and there's not much to change because you're not getting all the data, like the sales are slower. But if you're spending like $20,000 a month, or some of our clients are spending $100,000 a month, you're in there every half hour. You got people working around the clock, you got algorithms, you got scripts running all the time, you're setting rules, so it's very different. But if you got just say you're not a $100,000 business, you're just a $3,000 to $10,000 business, you're in there once a day for e-commerce. In services, you're in there once every 2-3 days or once a week. And also, the next number 4 is whether or not you have some type of deal running. If you have some type of deal or offer running, you're gonna be in there a lot more often, right? Because this is a time when you're having abnormal level of spend. So you're spending a lot more than what you normally spend when it's evergreen. Doesn't matter what platform it is. You got for Google, you got ad extensions, you got offer extensions, price extensions that you got to change. You're probably testing more than one landing page if it's an offer. So you're doing a lot more. So that's number 4. Number 5 is the competition intensity. So if you are in a local business and it's a time of the year where it's highly competitive, maybe it's property valuation business, maybe it's some type of service business where they take a lot of leads at the beginning of the year. So during that time, you have to be more intense, you'll be spending more because, if it's weather dependent or something, you're gonna dry up right after this. So you have to, you make or break, right? Most businesses, I guess, I don't know why I said beginning of the year, but most businesses it's in Q4. Q4 is a make or break kind of season, and you're in there a lot more often than you are in other times. Number 6, so that was number 5. Number 6 is tightness of margin. If you have a product or service where the margins are very skinny, your ads operator or you or whoever, you got to be in there all the time. Because if it's out of control, if it's not being monitored carefully, you think you're getting leads, but it's like what I tell my clients, it's like you are drinking poison. For every lead you get, you're actually losing money because of how much you paid for it, right? And that's a pretty deadly cycle coming down because it kind of messes up with your mood as well, right? Like you get the lead, but you almost don't want that lead because it's costing you money, or you get desperate in closing it. So tightness of margin, tightness is really important. I will say that before I laid this out and prepared for this, I didn't even think about that one. But yeah, that's important to see how often you got to be in there making changes. The other one is the operator skill. if you have a skilled operator, they're only in there, they know exactly what they're looking for, they know how to fix it, right? So you get in there, you're quick, you kind of pinpoint the problem right away, you join the dots, and it's done. But if you have somebody who is quite new, they just spend longer. They're just talking about stuff, figuring things themselves. If you DIY as well, you get to fix some simple problems, but when it's nuance and context, it's very hard. It is really tough to troubleshoot. Because there's, for every single knob that you can turn on and off, and everything you can, all these things you can change, and you're like, try to research yourself, there's arguments for and there's arguments against it, right? And you have to take your personal consideration into those adjustments. So back to the thread of how often should be in there. If you're making the wrong adjustments, you're always in there because you try to undo it and redo it. So it's tough. And the last one, the eighth one is your growth goal ambition. What I mean by that is, I don't think businesses should hire ads managers unless they have a growth goal. Like, you wouldn't hire someone to babysit your account. Do you know what I mean? So the more ambitious you are, the more you as a business owner will have to do as well. I'm assuming I'm talking to business owner doing between 300,000 to 2 mil kind of annual revenue. And you have to come up with new offers. You have to be really sharp on how you're articulating them. And what is all of that translating into? Once you have the offer and everything, you got to be able to test it. And who's going to test it except the ads manager, right? Everything else is too slow. So you have to be talking and making changes on the ads account all the time, testing and reiterating and turning things on and off on these offers. So if you have like really ambitious goals of growth, then we're in there all the time. But if you are just like once a month kind of guy, then we be in it, like whoever's working on it will be in there less. So hopefully that's the answer to the question. Platform type, service or product, your ad budget, whether it's 2,000 or 20,000 makes a huge difference. Whether you have some type of offer, you have some type of deal running, the intensity of your competitors in the locally, whether it's locally or if Australia wide or worldwide, if it's e-commerce. How tight are your margins? E-commerce is usually very tight. The operator skill level, and also your goals. All right, hope that helps. See ya.